Oh, there it is. Okay, it's much better. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back. We're studying Romans. We're continuing our study in the epistle of Paul to the Romans. And we're aligning the epistle of Paul to the Romans to the rest of Bible prophecy in terms of the preparation of Yah's chosen people. Welcome back, Brother Mark. Welcome back, Chapter Lewis. Shalom to you. And so, Gary Joseph, Brother Gary, welcome back. We are aligning the prophecy to the ancient prophecies of our brethren, the prophets, who were called to talk about the revival of the Israelites. But what the Apostle Paul is doing is he's letting the Gentiles know that you can partake in these promises by being grafted into Israel. That's the key here. And after we get through chapter 8 and we start doing 9 and 10, you will see that more plainly, that the apostle inviting the Gentiles, and that's the message really of the gospel to the Gentiles. The gospel is for them to be invited with the chosen people through whom the gospel was set. Because as we're going to see more, and as we've been seeing, all the prophecies of the Bible, all the prophets of the Old Testament point to Israel. The prophecies are for Israel. Messiah said, in fact, let's take a look at this. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the Gospel of John, chapter 4, where Messiah meets the woman at the well, a Samaritan woman, a Gentile. He meets her at the well. Let's take a look in Gospel of John, chapter 4. Gospel of John, chapter 4. I'm going to start at verse 20, and I'm going to go down to verse 24. Gospel of John, chapter 4, from verse 20 to verse 24. The woman speaks to the Messiah and says, "Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yahushua saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Yahudim, or the Jews, the Yahudim. Salvation is of the tribe of the southern kingdom of Judah. Salvation is of Yahudi, the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. Yah is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The Father seeketh those who are the true worshipers to worship him. Salvation is from the southern kingdom of Judah. Yahudi means Judah, brethren. Jews is a shortened term for Judah. Nowadays, you have people that are Jewish who are really not any bloodline to the southern kingdom or the northern kingdom. They're just converts to a religion created called Judaism that supposedly come from Judah. It does not. There is no Judaism in the Bible. You can read this book from Genesis to Revelation. You will not find Judaism in there. And let me just say, just to make sure we're understanding what we're talking about, to make sure I'm not being ignorant about this for those that might claim this. One thing that is a commonality that people know is Judaism was supposed to be a religion founded by Abraham. Am I telling the truth, or is that did I make that up, or is that the truth, brethren? Judaism is a religion that was supposed to be founded by Abraham, if I'm not mistaken. And if the Bible showed me Abraham created a religion, to be the first time I seen it, at the 19 times I done read through it, it'd be the first time I see it, because when I read the Bible, I don't see Abraham creating any religion. And Christianity is supposed to be a religion that was created by Messiah. Am I making that up, or is that true or not? Isn't that what Christianity is? Christ, Christos, Christianos is supposed to be a religion created by Messiah. But as I read the Old Testament, where I see Messiah standing on Mount Sinai, oh yeah, he was there. And he was standing leading the children of Israel through the wilderness. And he was there when they got through the promised land through Jordan. And when I see Messiah in the New Testament, I don't see him starting no new religion. I see him saying, I came not to destroy the law of the prophets. I came not to destroy, but to fulfill. I hear him saying, I came not before the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I hear him saying that. I don't see him saying in any place, do you? I'm creating this new religion for the Gentiles. And I'm going to let them use my likeness as a white man. I'm going to let that happen because I'm creating this new religion. I don't see that anywhere. I done read this thing through multiple times. I ain't seen it. So if I'm going to go by this book, now I ain't talking about no Hebrew Torah. I ain't talking about no Jerusalem Bible. I'm talking about the King James Version of the Bible. There's no Judaism in it. And the only place I see Christianity is with the great whore. A God that the fathers knew not, that they shall heap gold and silver and precious stones on. Christianity. I don't see anything else in the Bible for the chosen people except the same Father Yah that is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that come all the way through the Bible. The children of Israel are the object of the Father's eye in the Bible. And so the invitation to the Gentiles from the Apostle Paul is an invitation to partake in salvation that is given to Israel. That's what I found when I read it. And so that being the case, we are studying the Old Testament prophecies of Israel and understanding that the Gentiles can partake in those promises through the Hebrew Messiah because salvation is of the Yahudim, Judah. We were taking those of us that are in the United States, North America, and you're in the UK, or you're in France, or you're in Spain and Europe, or Portugal, or you're in Brazil or South America. Y'all were taken from, like us, from the west coast of Africa. Where we all taken from. And most of y'all coming from that place are Judah. Because Judah fled in 70 AD from the Romans. Judah did. And they fled to a familiar place, the land we call Africa. Why do I say it was familiar? Because it wouldn't have been the first or even the second time that they fled into that land. We have been fleeing into that land for centuries. And we did it again. Only this time we were under the curse of slavery. And so we had been in there several centuries. And first of all, here come in the 7th century AD, this man Muhammad. And he did create a religion. Yes, he did. The religion Muhammad created is called Islam. He created that religion and it spread like wildfire. It went into Africa and it established universities and schools. Powerful empires, and forced the true Hebrews to become Muslim. Forced us to become Muslim. And we became Muslim. And then some of us was taken captive going toward the east, and some of us still captive in places called Qatar, Saudi Arabia. Some of us still captive. Then came, before that, in the 6th century, Christianity. And they came on the west coast of Africa and bartered with the Muslims to put us in chains according to Bible prophecy. And so if you're a Hebrew that don't know you're Hebrew, you're in Brazil. If you came from the west coast of Africa, you're probably Judah. You're probably Judah with a mixture of Levi in there, because Levi was in all the 12 tribes. And so you're Judah mixed with Levi. They didn't take you out according to your tribes. They just took you because y'all was all brown and y'all was Hebrews. That's why they took you. That's why they took you. So you are now was sent, the most rebellious ones. They sent you to the island they called Jamaica. Then there was some even more rebellious ones, and they sent you to the island they called Hispaniola, and y'all was on the Haitian side. Y'all was some rough Negroes, bruh, because them French people was running out of there because of y'all, and they still hate y'all for that. Still hate y'all for that. But all of these Caribbean islands, from St. John and St. Thomas and Trinidad and Tobago, Puerto Rico and Cuba and Bahamas, all of them islands, y'all came from the west coast of Africa. Y'all from Judah and Levi. And then they took a bunch of us and brought us to the Americas, where they done killed all of the northern tribes off. They killed off the northern tribes to take over the land. And they had Judah in chains. And to this day, they hate Judah. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise, brethren. They hate you. And the reason they hate you so much is because it's out of fear. See, a lot of times hatred comes from fear. A bully is basing their bulliness on fear. They're scared of something. Okay? What are they scared of? They know how they treated us. They know where they brought us from. Even in some cases, they know who we really are. And they're afraid of us rising up and awakening as to who we are. So what did they do? Well, the obvious answer is they put us in chains. Then when the world from the outside started looking at it and said, man, you're supposed to be the land of the free, then they said they were going to free us. They had the Civil War. And the Civil War to this day is the bloodiest war the United States has ever been involved in. 500,000 men died in the Civil War. 500,000. Tore up the whole East Coast of the United States. They had to rebuild Atlanta, rebuild a lot of places. Richmond had to be rebuilt. And we did the rebuilding. They called it the Reconstruction. Hebrews did the Reconstruction. Then after that, they changed the laws to make it Jim Crow. And we were being put in chain gangs for jaywalking, literally. And they kept us that way, building the nation and the railroads off the backs of us and the Chinese, keeping us under their thumb because they was afraid of us. In spite of that, we still was rising up. But they was fighting against us. Every law, when they created FHA and the New Deal by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, they excluded us. We couldn't buy houses cheap like them. They didn't want our farmers getting them checks that government was giving out to farmers. And they did everything they can to keep us down. But we kept growing, just like the Bible says. In spite of the oppression, the Hebrews continued to grow. So then what they do? They created urban renewal, which was another way to saying we're going to create these things called projects where we're going to entrap you. We're going to make it a law that there's a red line unseen around where we put you. It's going to be cheaper, but no insurer will insure there. No mortgage will put a loan there. And when you guys burn that place up or something happens to it, we're going to leave it like that. And on top of that, when we're still coming up out of there, when we thrived and you had a Tulsa, Oklahoma, a Wildwood, Florida, right? when you had a Wilmington, North Carolina, where in spite of it, we still was rising up, they would just destroy us and the place. Then tell us to pick ourselves up from the bootstraps when their cousins came from Europe and they gave them the money, the tools, and the training to build. And in spite of that, we were still there. What they do? They started getting drugs from Central America, and they started getting drugs from the Middle East and sending them to our neighborhoods to kill us because they're scared. They brought about 500,000 to 1 million of us over originally. And in spite of everything I just told you, in spite of heroin and crack and opioids, in spite of redlining and denial of ownership in this American dream, in spite of private prisons and 3 strikes law, we're 46 million plus strong. That's Judah. And we still here. And now we're awakening. And the awakening continues. And now you have 10 years left. And it's going crazy. And it's going to continue to go crazy. And so the extension is made. We are ambassadors for the Hebrew Messiah. And we are extending the olive branch to the Gentiles to partake in the promises of our awakening, to partake in what's coming, brethren, what we know is coming. And now you have the Gentiles, and you Gentiles can bear witness, your cousins grabbing guns, tripping out. They don't know what to do. Walking into churches, walking into supermarkets, trying to kill as many of us as they can, because that's the only way they know how to handle this. That's the only way they know how to handle this. They try to put as many of us in jail before we start having babies. They're trying to have as many of us convert to become homosexuals, because homosexual can't produce no children. They're trying to have as many of us go these crazy ways because we keep multiplying. They can't stop it. You see, if they understood that there was a Most High, they wouldn't fight against it. They'd surrender to him. And there's Gentiles doing that. But they don't understand. They don't believe in no Most High. They don't believe in him. They don't even believe in white Jesus, because if they listen to white Jesus, they wouldn't be trying to kill us, right? But they don't believe in white Jesus. They believe in their guns and their violence. They believe in man. They believe in man. Man ain't going to save them. And so here we are. And this is why I'm saying, while all of this is going on, the small group of us, with others that are being taught by Hebrews, us in small groups are focused on one thing: being prepared for a seal. We're focused on being prepared for a seal. We're not trying to fight with them. We're not trying to threaten them. We protect ourselves. Oh, yeah. But we're being prepared for a seal. Period. End of story. When Messiah appears, the real Messiah, ain't going to be no UN-led effort. When Messiah appears, game over. And I'm telling you, and other teachers are telling you, it ain't but 10 more years left on the outside. On the outside. Ain't going to last that long. Okay? We ain't got that much time left. They telling you millions of years and billions of years, and scientists saying we got this much time. No, we don't. It's coming to an end, brethren. We are being prepared for a seal. Let's take a look at Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 20. Isaiah chapter 20. No, I'm sorry. It's Isaiah 24 I want. Isaiah chapter 24 I want. Brethren, when Father Yah gave the command to Messiah to speak the earth into existence. Let me say that again. When Father Yah gave the command to Messiah to speak the earth into existence. That's how powerful our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, is. He speaks and it exists. He speaks and it will cease to exist. When he gave the command, Father, Yahweh, gave the command to his son, Yahweh Shah, and he said, speak, and the earth became. Let there be light, and the light came. He spoke it into existence. When he gave him the command to do that, brother, there's been some great artists that have been born of women. There have been some great artists that have been born of women, right? Tremendous art. Cause people to stare and buy and spend millions of dollars. But there never has been, never will be an artist like Father Yah. Out of his mind came what the earth was in its perfection. Out of his mind, it was him that said to the Messiah, let us make man in our image. The fact that he said, amen, Adam, that he made. Just saying that, I'm making a being, I'm calling Adam, and I'm making him in my image. Son, this is what we're going to do. Let us make man in our image. So he makes Adam in his own image. Then he lays Adam down and performs the first operation in the history of the planet. And he says, open up the rib and make a woman for Adam. Ishi. You have Ish and you have Ishi. I want you to make her the most beautiful thing you ever made in the history of the planet. Make her for him. And she is the mother of all living. She can bring forth. His seed will cause her to bring forth more like them. Father did that. What he did was perfect. What he did had no blemish in it. What he did was to make it last forever. But as we are well aware, because of disobedience to our Father, because of believing the man as God doctrine, it's all messed up. It's all jacked up. And it's suffering, man. Isaiah chapter 24, I'm going to begin at verse 1. I'm going to begin at verse 1. And I'm going to go from verse 1 down to verse 7. Isaiah chapter 24, from verse 1 to verse 7. Behold, Yahweh maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for Yahweh hath spoken this word. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. Yes, he made the thing, and he's going to redo the thing. The earth has been defiled. It's got to be cleansed. It's going to always exist, the earth, but it has to be cleansed. Now we understand why it has to be cleansed. It's been defiled. It's been polluted. The artist's work has been ruined. And he's got to do it over again. He's got to redo it. He's got to cleanse it first. Jeremiah chapter 25. Jeremiah chapter 25. I'm going to read Jeremiah 25. And I'm going to start at verse 30 and go down to verse 38. Jeremiah chapter 25 from verse 30 to verse 38. Therefore prophesy thou. He's talking to Jeremiah, the Hebrew Levite prophet. And he says, therefore prophesy thou against them all these words, and say unto them, Yahweh shall roar from on high, and utter his voice from his holy habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. So now he's speaking from his chosen one against all the inhabitants of the earth. He's speaking from his chosen one against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the ends of the earth, for Yahweh hath a controversy with the nations. He will plead with all flesh. He will give them that are wicked to the sword, saith Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts. Behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. And the slain of Yahweh shall be at that day from one end of the earth, even unto the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground. Howl, ye shepherds, and cry, and wallow yourselves in the ashes, ye principal of the flock. For the days of your slaughter and of your dispersions are accomplished, and ye shall fall like a pleasant vessel. And the shepherd shall have no way to flee, nor principal of the flock to escape. A voice of the cry of the shepherds and of the howling of the principal of the flock shall be heard, for Yahweh hath spoiled their pasture. And the peaceable habitations are cut down because of the fierce anger of Yahweh. He hath forsaken his covert as the lion, for their land is desolate because of the fierceness of the oppressor and because of his fierce anger. Why is he so angry? Let us remind ourselves. Because the earth is defiled. Because he made it perfect. And it has been polluted. Because it suffers. You know, brethren, if an animal is suffering and it's in pain and it's not going to get better, it's not going to recover, what do? You put it out of its misery. Isn't that correct? It seems cruel and harsh, but it's more cruel and harsh to put it out of its misery than to let it suffer. Am I telling the truth? So you have a deer and all its legs are broken from a car, but it's still breathing. It's suffering. And so a person will shoot the thing or do something to put it out of its misery because it's suffering. Its last breaths are suffering. Brothers and sisters, the whole earth is in its last breaths. The whole earth is suffering. I mean, suffering, untold suffering. That angels can see, that Father can see, that Messiah can see. It's suffering. And Father intends to make a clean end of the suffering. And all that I just said to you, everything begins with our sealing. All that I just said to you begins with us being sealed. He's going to deliver his chosen ones in this. He's going to begin delivering his chosen ones with the seal. Again, that's what chapter 8 is talking about. No condemnation to them who are in Messiah, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. We live by the Spirit. We walk in the Spirit. and the Father seal us in the Spirit. And that is the beginning of the deliverance of planet Earth from Asatan and man as God. It's the deliverance from that produces all the suffering that we have. Children being raped and sold. Sex slavery and human trafficking. Diseases that we don't even have names for. Nature being destroyed. The earth in upheaval. There's no peace. There's only avoidance of trouble. Locks and gated places and guarded places. People getting angry because they don't know how to do about the loss of their power and killing. And it gets worse than that. The earth is going to be put out of its misery when we get the seal. And the Father is working with the Messiah to get us to that point. That's why I said, brethren, there's nothing on the earth more important right now than us receiving the seal. You want to see an end to all of this suffering? Receive the seal. Seek the seal. Consciously go after it. Consciously ask your Father for it. Then this all will end. And the Father, having put a time limit on this earth, he has placed a 7,000-year time limit. And at the end of the 6th, man's number, all this is over. 6,000, we're here. We're here, brethren. Not coming, we're here. It's not coming. It's here. Right now. We are being prepared in these last moments of 6. Isn't it interesting? The beast, the dragon, the false prophet, the 3 unclean spirits. 6, 6, 6, the number of a man. And in each church, the 6th church, the 6th seal, the 6th trumpet, the 144,000. So that the multiple of 12 answers 666. The multiple of 12 answers 666. The 144,000 answers 666. Powerful, isn't it? We're coming to the end of a 40, a time of testing. Coming to the end of a 40 in the multiple of 12. 12 tribes by 12,000 Levites going to answer 666. The beast, the dragon, and the false prophet gets answered by 12. And Father is the God of sevens, perfection, where he's finishing the whole thing. 6,000 years. And then we have 1,000 years of peace. 7,000 years. See how all the numbers are coming together, brethren? Isn't that beautiful? All the numbers are coming together. The God of the sevens is about to end this thing. And he's putting together the end of Babylon, the beast, the dragon, and the false prophet, the 3 sixes of man. He's putting it together, and he's putting it at the end by his multiple of 12. The woman with the 12 stars in her crown, Israel. He's awakening the numbers of 12 to finish the 40 being the time of testing, to put an end to the 6, the domination of man as God. It's all coming together, brethren. And it's now on us to receive that seal. It's now on us to receive that seal. Okay? Romans chapter 8 is going to talk about this very thing where we are right now. Romans chapter 8. I'm going to begin where we left off. I'm going to start at verse 12. Romans chapter 8, I'm going to read from verse 12 down to verse 22. Romans chapter 8 from 12 to 22. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors, not to the flesh, to live after the flesh. For if we live after the flesh, we shall die. But if we through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, we shall live. For as many as are led by the Spirit of Yah, they are the sons of Yah. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby you cry, Abba, Father. See, he's talking to the Gentiles. The spirit of adoption, you Gentiles. You're receiving adoption. When you're adopted, you're not bloodline of a family, but you become part of a family. Does that make sense? So when you're adopted, you're not born of a family, but you're being born again into a family. So that the promises given to Israel are inviting the Gentiles to partake by being grafted in or adopted into the family of the Israelite nation. You're adopted because of the sacrifice given to Israel from Messiah that is now being extended to you. So now salvation of the Yahudim comes to you. The line of the tribe of Judah, you're being offered your opportunity to become part of that scattered flock, part of that nation, to become part of the promises given to Israel. That's it. Okay, you're being offered as ambassadors. We're calling you on behalf of the Messiah to come to Father Yah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Israelite God, to be adopted. The spirit of adoption, you cry, Abba. That means Father. Abba. He becomes your father too, because you are adopted into the tribes through faith in the Hebrew Messiah by the righteousness of the Father. You're adopted into the tribes. The spirit of adoption. Powerful right there. Okay. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yah. And if children, then heirs. Heirs of Yah and joint heirs with Messiah. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of Yah. Didn't we say? Didn't we just say that everything that finishes this out starts with the seal? Didn't we just say that? He says the earnest expectation of the creature, that is nature, waited for the manifestation of Yah's children, Yah's sons. Yah's sons. The 144,000. Waiting for them to be manifest through the Spirit. Waiting for the seal, hold the winds, until we have sealed the servants of Yah in their foreheads. We're preparing for a seal, or should I say, being prepared for a seal. And nature is waiting because it suffers. Let's continue reading. Verse 20. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who have subjected the same in hope. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of Yah. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. The whole creation. That's why he's going to turn it upside down. That's why he's going to have a controversy with all the inhabitants of the earth. He's now preparing the seal of us to bring all of this forth. And brethren, it's coming. There's nothing that can stop Father's will from being done. Nothing. As he spoke into existence the earth, he speaks into existence the 144,000. He speaks into existence the seal that's going to come upon us. It's our choice whether we want that to happen for us. Consciously, individually. It's our choice. Again, we were brought into existence at this time, not by accident. What role we will play in these final movements of Babylon, the beast, the dragon, and the false prophet is our choice. Happens that Father already knows what we're going to choose, but we don't. So we have to consciously choose Father. All of the redeemed ones will have consciously chosen to be with the Father, consciously chosen his Spirit, having never seen the Father, having never actually observed him, but believing that he is Yahweh, or Ahaya, that he exists. Yahweh, Yah exists. We have consciously chosen to see the invisible God and consciously chosen to receive of his invisible Spirit of perfect righteousness. Father created it that way. Why? Because Adam failed in believing in his Father. Adam failed in believing in his Father when he chose to believe his wife, when he chose to take the fruit from the hands of his wife. He disregarded his Father's command. Disregarded his Father's command. And the light left him. Now, through the second Adam, we are brought back from death. And we can consciously choose a spirit from a Father we've never seen with our eyes, but we know in our spirit bears witness that he is. That he is. There is no God like our God. There is no true God but our God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the only true God, and we are his children by blood. Messiah is our cousin, and we are inviting an adopted people of the Gentiles, the children of Yafet, to be adopted into the fam through Messiah. And we are being awakened according to prophecy through Messiah. So that we who are bloodline Hebrews, whose descendants come off those slave ships, are receiving righteousness by faith. Those who are adopted are receiving righteousness through faith, being adopted children into the family. By even really inviting the Gentiles into the fam, we are showing the character of Father as illustrated in Messiah. I mean, if it was human flesh, we'd want to kill all of them. I'm just being honest with you. If it was simply human flesh, we'd want to kill all of them. And that's what they were afraid of, because they are in the flesh. They're not in the spirit, they're in the flesh. But we don't. Why? Because the Spirit of our Father is in us. And we know that the end is coming, and he's preparing us for that. We're not worried about that. We know they're going to get what they got coming. All the guilty going to get what they got coming. All of them. We know that that's coming. We just need to be sealed. We need to be sealed. Praise the Most High. We need the seal of the Father. So that the earth, the creation, nature is waiting for us to be revealed, for our seal to be complete. We are consciously seeking the seal. Messiah is about finishing his high priestly ministry, which is working for us to be sealed. That's what Messiah is doing. He's the only thing he's working on right now is the seal of the 144,000. That is the start. That is the spark that starts and finishes everything fast. But he's working on that right now, constantly, daily. You and me are being worked on right now. Every day. It's the most important work on the planet among a few people, comparatively speaking, in terms of the earth population. It's a few of us. And yet the whole thing hinges on our sealing. Hurt not the earth till we have sealed the servants of our Most High in their foreheads. Hold the wind until we have sealed the servants of our Most High in their foreheads. The Father has a controversy with the earth. He's going to roar from on high, and he's going to finish this earth, because all nature, everything he created, is suffering. Everybody's at the beck and call of the Father in heavenly intelligences. Angels are working with us every day to guide us in the way we should go. We are being tested and tempted and tried on a regular basis so that we can come through like the Father did with Messiah. Messiah said, the prince of this world cometh and have nothing in me. The devil came at Messiah with everything, including the kitchen sink, and couldn't move him from the Father. Father going to say it to us. Devil going to say, take the hedge away. Father going to say, okay, I'm taking the hedge away. They're going to stay faithful. No, they won't. We'll see. And we will. Because we've been prepared from the Father. There's no human way we will be able to make it. Remember what the Messiah said? If he didn't cut this mess short, no flesh would be saved. If he don't cut it short, no flesh would be saved. But that's the whole point. He's going to cut it short, and he's going to seal us, and he's going to deliver us. He's not going to let the enemy have the last victory. Not going to happen. Beast, dragon, false prophet are going to be destroyed. And their system of Babylon that they created is going to be destroyed. And it all starts with our sealing. See? We don't have to worry about being out there and target practicing in the woods with AKs. We ain't got to be sharpening machetes. The Most High guide us the way we should go and direct our paths in light and truth. Angels will guide us and protect us. And when it's time, they'll deliver us like they did for Lot. They'll deliver us. Okay? They'll deliver us. Father will guide us. He guide us. He guide us. Okay? Just trust in him. Trust in his word. Father's going to deliver his creation and us with it in his time. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop here because there's another part of chapter 8 I want to go through, but I wanted to get through this part. There's another part of chapter 8 that's very powerful, and I want to take our time and go through it. It's the last part of chapter 8. All right. We just went through up to chapter 8 to verse 22. In fact, let me just read verse 23. And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. Yes. The first step of leaving Babylon, as we spoke, is to follow Father's spirit of righteousness out of the religious world of Babylon, to not walk in the religions of this world, of man glorified in these religions, but to follow Father alone, right? That's the first step of leaving Babylon. The second step of leaving Babylon is forced upon us. It's forced upon us because when we take the first step of following the Father, we'll be in harmony with the covenant. We will not have any other gods or no other image of any other gods. And that will make the beast, the dragon, and the false prophet very upset, to the point where they're going to stop you and I from buying or selling. When they stop us from buying or selling, second stage of leaving Babylon. Now we're dependent on the Father alone so that we can even eat. That's the second step. The last step is at the return of Father and Messiah, when our bodies are changed into their glorious bodies the way we were supposed to in the twinkling of an eye. That's the final step. That's us escaping the whole atmosphere of Babylon and having a brand new body of eternal existence. That's the final step of us leaving Babylon. To wit, the adoption of our body. What did he call it? The redemption of our body. That's the last step of leaving Babylon. First step is we taking right now. Receiving Yah's righteousness through Messiah. Coming out of the religions of man glorification in Babylon. That's what all these religions are. Glorification of man. Either a man-made white Jesus, a man-made religion that don't exist in this Bible. We talked about Judaism not existing here. Neither does Islam. In Christianity, we said it's the great whore. So no, there's nothing in here for us. So when we leave these organized religions and we go to focus on Father Yah alone, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who he's only shown to one people who are our cousins and our ancestors, they're the only people he showed himself to. The only people he taught his statutes and judgments to was our people. according to this book. And so as we are following that, now we're leaving Babylon. First step. Then they're going to be upset at us because we're not worshiping beast, dragon, and false prophet. We're not worshiping man-made religion. We're not worshiping man-made institutions. We're following Father Yah. That's second step when they stop us from buying and selling. And now we're entirely dependent on the Heavenly Father to provide us food and water. And he will. Then the last step is when they come to kill us. Whosoever would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And they're going to try to kill us. Because we represent a clear delineation from man's religions. We represent a clear change, a stepping away from man and to the Father. That makes the devil and his associations and his creations of this religions and business and politics crazed with anger, and they try to kill us. But we'll be delivered. At that time, thy people shall be delivered, Gabriel told Daniel, everyone that is found written in the book, and we will be delivered. That's the final step out of the atmosphere of Babylon completely. New bodies, new spirits. That's right. That's exactly right. So, Doc, I like how you said that. We're following the way, not a religion, the way to the Father. We're following the way to the Father, not a religion. Praise the Most High. And nature is going to be happy because nature is going to be redeemed from the pollutions of man. Praise the Most High, Yah. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he guide you to his seal and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you and lift up his countenance upon you and me and give you peace. Let us continue to pray for each other, brethren. Shalom.